Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. When you think of a motorcycle engine, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's probably the classic single-cylinder engine we see on everyday bikes. But the world of two-wheeler engines is incredibly diverse and fascinating. So today, we're diving deep into the different types of motorcycle engines you need to know about. Let's start with the one we all know, the single-cylinder engine. Often called a thumper, it's exactly what it sounds like, a piston engine with just one cylinder. These engines are perfect for smaller cc bikes. They're simple, cost-effective to produce, and cheap to maintain and fix. Single cylinders are known for being sluggish at high RPMs, but down low, they're super aggressive and punchy. This makes them fantastic for thrilling, low-speed rides and city commuting. That's why you'll find them in lightweight sports bikes and commuter bikes. The most sold motor vehicle ever, the Honda Super Cub, uses a 49cc single cylinder. Other famous examples include the KTM 690 Duke R, the BMW G650 GS, and even the Moto3 race bikes. Now let's double it up with two-cylinder engines. As the name suggests, this engine has two cylinders. More cylinders generally mean more weight, more cost, and of course more power, but it's not that simple. There are several types of twin-cylinder engines, including the inline twin, V-twin, L-twin, and the boxer engine. Let's break them down. First up is the inline twin, or straight twin. Here, the two cylinders are arranged side by side in a straight line, sharing a common crankshaft. This layout is common in medium and high-displacement bikes. In fact, the world's first production motorcycle from 1894 used a straight twin. More recently, bikes like the Kawasaki Ninja 650, Royal Enfield Interceptor 650, and Yamaha MT-03 have made this engine popular again. Next, we have the iconic V-twin. This is a two-cylinder engine where the cylinders are arranged in a V-shape. When you think of a V-twin, you probably think of Harley-Davidson, and for good reason. Gottlieb Daimler built one of the first V-twins way back in 1889, and it's still a beloved configuration today. The most common angle for the V is 90 degrees, which provides a perfect primary balance. This design is not just for cruisers. Sport bikes like the Suzuki TL1000R and most Ducatis have used it. V-twins are compact, lightweight, offer great air cooling, and deliver that signature rumble. Popular examples include the Harley-Davidson Road Glide and the KTM 1290 Super Duke R. Speaking of Ducati, that brings us to the L-twin. An L-twin is essentially a V-twin engine with a 90-degree angle between the cylinders. What makes it an L is its orientation in the frame. Ducati tilts the V forward so the front cylinder is almost horizontal, creating that L shape. It's inherently one of the smoothest twin-cylinder configurations out there. Today, Ducati and Moto Guzzi are the main brands championing this design. Then there's the boxer engine, also known as a flat twin. Imagine two boxers punching their gloves together before a fight. That's how the pistons move in this engine. They move inwards and outwards at the same time on opposite sides of the crankshaft. Patented by Carl Benz in 1896. This design is most famously used by BMW in motorcycles like the legendary 1250 GS. Boxer engines are naturally well balanced, eliminating the need for extra balance shafts, and they offer excellent air cooling thanks to the exposed cylinders. Let's talk about triple-cylinder engines, also called inline threes. This engine combines the best of both worlds. You get the torquey feel of a twin-cylinder engine with the high revving power of a four-cylinder. They are smoother than a V-twin and narrower and lighter than an inline-four. While not as common, they've carved out a dedicated following. Triumph is famous for its triples, like the Street Triple, and Yamaha uses one in the awesome MT-09. The advantages of a straight-three engine for motorcycles are that it has a shorter length than an inline-four engine and produces less vibration than a straight-twin engine. Suzuki GT380 Laverda 1003C, Yamaha XS-A50, BMW K75, and some Triumph motorcycles are the examples of three-cylinder engines. Ever heard of a V3 engine? No, that's not a typo for V6 or V8. I'm talking about a V engine with three cylinders. And it's one of the weirdest, most fascinating engine designs ever conceived. So, what exactly is it? Picture a standard V engine, like a V-twin in a motorcycle. Now, imagine adding a third cylinder, sticking straight up, right between the other two. That's the basic idea of the most famous V3, the one built by Honda for its Grand Prix racing motorcycles. Let's rewind to the late 1970s and early 80s. In the world of 500cc Grand Prix motorcycle racing, two-stroke engines were king. They were light, powerful, and relatively simple. Honda, however, had a deep-rooted passion for four-stroke technology. They wanted to prove they could win with a four-stroke engine, even against the dominant two-strokes. But there was a problem. The rules stated that a 500cc four-stroke could have up to 4 cylinders, while a two-stroke could only have 4. To compete with the power output of a two-stroke, a four-stroke needs to rev much higher, which usually means more cylinders. Honda's first attempt was the NR500, a legendary machine with an incredibly complex V4 engine featuring oval pistons. Yes, you heard that right, oval pistons, each with 8 valves and 2 connecting rods. It was a technological marvel, essentially a V8 crammed into a V4 package. But it was also extremely complex, heavy, and ultimately unsuccessful. It was a glorious failure that pushed the boundaries of engineering but never won a race. After the NR500 experiment, Honda needed a new approach. They decided to go back to the drawing board and build a two-stroke engine to compete on a level playing field. But this is Honda we're talking about. They don't do things the easy way. Instead of building a conventional inline-4 or V4 two-stroke like their rivals Yamaha and Suzuki, they came up with something completely different, the NS500 powered by a V3 engine. Why a V3? It was a genius compromise. A two-stroke V4 would be powerful, but also wider and heavier. A V-twin would be light and nimble, but would struggle for top-end power against the 4s. The V3 offered the perfect balance. It had 2 forward-facing horizontal cylinders and 1 vertical cylinder sitting between them, forming a 112-degree V angle. This design was incredibly compact and lightweight, almost as narrow as a V-twin. This gave the bike a huge advantage in handling and aerodynamics. The single vertical cylinder also helped with mass centralization, making the bike incredibly agile and quick to change direction. The result? The Honda NS500 was an absolute weapon. In 1982, with the legendary Freddie Spencer at the controls, it started winning races. The bike's lightweight and superior handling allowed Spencer to outmaneuver the more powerful 4-cylinder bikes, especially on tighter tracks. Then came 1983, a year that went down in motorcycle racing history. Freddie Spencer, riding the V3-powered NS500, won the 500cc World Championship, beating the mighty Kenny Roberts on his V4 Yamaha. It was an incredible achievement, proving that Honda's quirky V3 design was not just a curiosity, but a world beater. The V3's success was relatively short-lived. As engine technology progressed, the V4 South eventually became powerful enough to overcome the V3's handling advantages. Honda themselves moved on to a V4, the NSR500, which would go on to dominate the sport for years. But the V3's legacy was cemented. It was a brilliant piece of out-of-the-box thinking, a perfect example of how clever engineering can triumph over brute force. So while you won't find a V3 engine in your family car or even most production motorcycles, its story is a fantastic chapter in motorsport history. It's a testament to the engineers who dared to be different, who looked at the rules and found a creative, elegant, and ultimately, championship-winning solution. It's a reminder that sometimes, the strangest ideas are the best ones. Thanks for watching. If you love stories about weird and wonderful engines like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. See you in the next one.